Hi, welcome to Attention Central Texas. My name is Pat Galanfi, and I'll be your hostess for this program. Today we have some wonderful, wonderful people from Hilltop Recovery Ministry. We have Tanya Roper to my left, and then Lois Knox, right? Welcome you. We are so excited to hear more about Hilltop. And so I'm just going to let you take it away. Where is Hilltop? What is Hilltop?
Okay.
And how did it start?
Hilltop Recovery Ministries works with young women 18 to 25 years old. And we work from a mentoring standpoint. So we really walk alongside the youth in the various areas that they need. That's usually recovering from some sort of trauma, whether it be domestic violence, human trafficking, addiction, alcohol or substance. And we get them understanding that they are worthy and that they are loved by Christ, and that they deserve something different than many of them have ever known.
Wow, yeah.
So we've learned some of the struggles that they face are their own. Some are generational. They've just grown up
That's all they've known.
Dysfunction.
Right. So sad.
And so they don't think that there's anything different. So we really try to teach them through groups and through love and through very practical assistance that there is something different and that they're worthy of something different.
Right.
On Tuesdays and Thursdays, Impact Temple has been kind enough to allow us to use some office space at their building. And we offer groups on Tuesdays from 9 to 3 in healthy relationships and 12-step recovery group, as well as life skills.
Awesome.
And then on Thursdays, we spend the morning working in individual service plans. So directly, what does that youth need us to assist them in a very practical way?
Right, right.
And then in the afternoons from 1 to 3 on Thursdays, we do personal enrichment. So that could be something fun. Let's learn to bake together or craft together. Because what we've learned is a lot of these youth have been in survival mode all their life. They don't even know what it is they like to do for fun. So we're really hoping to teach them that fun doesn't necessarily begin or end on the street corner.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How do you find these girls?
Most of our referrals come from various agencies or groups within the community. Some of them have come independently as we continue to get our name out into the community, and we've had a couple that have just reached out that they're ready for some assistance and we can help them. Some of the practical things that we assist with are driver's license, state IDs, birth certificates. It's really hard to start over when you don't have any form of identification.
Yes, and so we forget some of these practical things
Very
that these
practical
young
things.
people need. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And while we're at the drop-in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the youth have shower and laundry facilities that are available to them, because many of them are staying in emergency shelters or on the streets, or maybe they have housing, but they don't have all of the comforts that you and I may have.
Yeah.
And so laundry can be a challenge.
Yeah.
So those are some of the practical things that we assist with along the way.
That's amazing. It's amazing. So how did you really get involved in, was this something you began yourself?
When I was 15, God spoke to me and told me I would work with young women, and I've always known that. My life took a drastically different turn and looked anything like but somebody that could work with young women. I was I was a teenage mother. I was in every drastic and dysfunctional relationship.
I'm sitting here going, because
and
I've been down this
and I was
road.
a single and I was a single mom
Yeah.
for many, many years. But when God says something's going to happen,
It does.
it's going to
does.
happen.
Yeah.
And in 2018, I was in Dallas, where I'm from, and my foundational pastor was preaching service and said, stopped in the middle of service on Sunday, walked up to me and said, "God told me to tell you now." And he turned around and continued preaching his sermon like he had never missed a beat.
Wow.
He had no idea what that meant.
But you did.
But I did.
Yeah.
Long story short, the original founders of Hilltop Recovery Ministry, who were based out of Kaufman, which is up near Dallas, reached out to me. They were ready to retire from ministry, and instead of closing the ministry, they wanted to hand it off.
Praise God.
Which is only a godsend. But we had already relocated here to the Central Texas area. So when we relocated, that meant relocating the ministry.
Right.
That meant rebranding the ministry, because originally they worked with women of all ages and only from addiction.
Right.
That's not what we need here.
Yeah.
We have agencies that do that, and they do that well here. So we specifically shrunk our age group, decided to work with young women, kind of open up their needs to meet them in all areas. Because the one thing we've learned is they come from, it's the same onion in many layers.
Right.
So just because they may present with an addiction issue doesn't mean they haven't been exploited. Doesn't mean that they haven't been in domestic violence situations. So it's really just meeting the youth where they are.
Right.
With what they think is the biggest need first.
Yeah.
And then working our way through the many different layers.
And have you found that, like, the addiction issue is really not 99% of the time the issue?
No,
It's those underlying things that until those are dealt with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
understand.
And not only that, many times we have found that addiction doesn't happen in isolation, or domestic violence doesn't happen in isolation. Many times there's an overlap, and several different traumas have been presented. So
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. So you kind of do overall. You try to look at each person individually, each of those young ladies individual, find out what their needs are, and then minister from their personal needs.
And we really try to meet them in a 360 holistic avenue. They are the experts of their life.
Right.
And so if they come to us and they say, you know, we need to help escaping a bad situation, then that's what we're going to help them with. But as we build a relationship and they learn to trust us, they learn to open up in the other areas. And that's when we're able to kind of reach out and say, you know, we might need to look at some of these things
that's good.
and some of these areas. But we only do that when they're ready, because it's really about building trust. They're not going to share the deepest secrets of their life with somebody that they don't believe in, or
that's
don't
true.
believe cares about them.
And trust comes along with spending time.
Exactly.
And so
And
it's
just
not
it has
like
to be
a,
developed and grown.
Yeah, and grown. Yeah, absolutely. So now you mentioned something about someone loaning you offices and stuff. So y'all don't actually have a ministry.
We do not have a office space that is ours.
I bet you'd like one.
We would love one.
Yeah.
We would love one. I have looked at every area open around the Belton and Temple area, because
And God had something else in mind. didn't he?
Exactly. I really feel like God wants us on the east side of the county.
Okay.
At least for now. That doesn't mean that we don't work with young women in the Killeen area. We're
Right.
just housed over there.
Yeah.
And while I was looking and getting very defeated and couldn't find a building, the next thing I know, Lois said, I want you to speak to somebody. And that was Brandon Baker of Impact Temple Church. And he said, you know what? We have a building that's not used during the week.
Exactly.
And we'd like to offer you some office space.
That's awesome.
And so we took him up graciously
Yeah.
on that offer. And so we offer our drop-in services out of his building, and just truly believe that as God fulfills and manifests this dream one step at a time, we will end up in our own place.
Yeah.
And that's part of our long-term goal, is to have residential. I do know that, I believe that that's a couple years down the road, but again, this is God's dream. I'm just trying to manifest it here on
Keep up
earth.
with him.
One step at a time. So we're gonna do what we have. with what we have
Yes.
when we have it,
That's awesome.
and go from there.
So do y'all have volunteers, or how's this staffed?
I am the only staff member.
Okay.
Miss Lois Knox is a volunteer,
Okay.
and we have a couple of other volunteers that help, some directly with the youth, and then some that only help with administrative type projects.
Okay.
So they create our flyers, they do some online stuff for us. So there's really an avenue anywhere for someone that may want to step in.
Right. In lots of different areas.
Lots of different areas, lots of different needs.
Because you
and-
mentioned things like cooking and baking and
Yep,
things, that there
yep,
are bakers
and
out there that can really
Absolutely,
teach.
absolutely, and that's another thing that we would love to have.
Yeah.
Someone, if they feel a need to, maybe they can't commit multiple hours a week, but they
Right.
could give us an hour a week.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
maybe once a month. Come in, teach our youth how to cook, how to sew,
Yeah.
how to make a budget, because so often these youth have never been taught things that we take for granted.
That is so true. That is so true.
And it's so much funner when other people get involved and it's not just the same Wizard of Oz voice talking to them over and over. And so we really open it up to all women to
Right.
come in and share their experience.
Do y'all have a website? And,
We do,
Okay.
and that's hilltoprecoveryministries.org,
Okay.
and that's all spelled out.
And there's probably plenty of information
Plenty
on
of
there.
information on there. There's
About
even
volunteering and
Good, good.
volunteer application is on site. They can print that. They
good.
can email it to us. There's even ways to donate. And I do quickly want to say that while we would love that great big giant donation, as if anybody would, the thing that's very practical, and I like to remind everybody, $16 replaces an ID for a youth.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
$11 buys a bottle of laundry detergent. So it doesn't have to be the grand, donation. It can be simple, easy donations that can be one time or on a regular basis.
Wow. That's awesome.
So that's
Another
what we
area that we're trying to develop volunteers is a transportation team.
Right.
Because many of the young women don't live near impact, possibly, or don't stay near impact. The other thing is they need to go to DPS to get their ID, or
Right.
they
You
need to
need
go
people to
to
drive
WIC
them.
or someplace like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, there are plenty of opportunities.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I encourage everyone out there, check out the website. There's probably phone numbers you can
Absolutely.
call. And if you need any information, check out these wonderful ladies and what they're doing in Bell County right now. And in the meantime, have a blessed day and hope to see you again soon.